Well, hi guys. A few days ago I created a video to show you how to install Rust, a Rust development environment on Linux, and I did promise to do a Windows one as well because there's a slight difference in the installation process, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. It's a fairly quick process, and yeah, let's get started. So I'll open my little notes that I've got over here. All right, nice and big. Hope you can read that. So the first thing we need to do is install Visual Studio Code. So we get onto the internet. Okay, open up my trusty Firefox. All right, and goes to Google. So we type in Visual Studio Code. All right, and it takes us to the Visual Studio Code website. If we click on the first link, okay. And all right, and we can just click over here, download Windows stable build. This should be the latest one, 1481 if I'm not mistaken. And all right, and there the download starts. Okay, so yeah, 1481. All right, so we save that file. Okay, and the other thing that we're also going to be installing, because that's what it's a Git, that's a source control management system that is used mostly nowadays. So we'll be installing that as well, and there's a link that I've got for it here for my favorite one that I use in Windows. Okay, so it's git-scm.com, and yeah, we just click over here in this blue, if I just zoom in a little bit, this blue monitor over here, it's got the download for Windows, so we click on that. All right, and it'll automatically start that download for us as well. So we say save file on that. All right, so we're currently downloading two files, Git and Visual Studio Code. That's just a setup file that is downloading for Visual Studio Code, by the way. Once that's done, we can start running it. A few seconds left. All right, so Visual Studio Code, the setup file is downloaded, so we click on that to open that up. Okay, we can minimize Firefox here. All right, and so it's just asking us, the license agreement, the normal sell everything to Microsoft agreement. I accept the agreement, say next. Okay, you can change your path there, but normally we just leave it as is. All right, next. And yes, what's it going to be called in your start folder? We just leave it on the defaults. Okay, additional tasks here. Let's see, what does it ask us here? Create a desktop icon. No, I don't want that. Yes, we do want to add to paths. Register code as an editor for supported file types. You could do that if you want. I wouldn't necessarily. Yeah, you could do that if you want. Add open with code to Windows Explorer directory. Yes, that's a nice one. And add open with code action to Windows or file context. So no, I'm going to add it to directory as well. But normally I use something else to do that. But let's add this open with code to Windows Explorer directory. That's nice. So you don't have to type code dot by hand. All right, we say next on that, and we install it, and Visual Studio will start its installation. And let's just see how far we are with Git. Minute left on Git. Okay. Then what we can also go and do so long is go to the Rust website, where we're going to actually install Rust from. All right. Open a new window there. Paste that in there. Okay. Rustlang.org tools install. The actual website itself, official website, is rust-lang.org. This is a direct link to the install page, tools install. Okay, it takes a moment. There we go. And it tells you how to do the installation and so forth. So just zoom in on that a little bit. Okay, this is coming out to Visual Studio Code. Okay, Visual Studio Code has been installed, and we can run it. Right, let that start up. Okay, and there we go. There's Visual Studio Code up and running. You can just maximize that window, help improve. Okay, this link is just going to take us to explain something to you, which I'm going to be showing you in any case. And that is if we go to File Preferences Settings, okay, and we type in up top here where it says Search Settings, we say Telemetry. Okay, you don't have to do this. I do it though, and a lot of other developers I know do it, and that is to disable telemetry. All right, so in other words, don't send anything back to Microsoft. Try and stay away from Microsoft. All right, so okay, we need to do a restart. Did that? Okay, just do a restart quickly of it. Just see if it did both of them or just the one. Yeah, I did just the one, so let's do the other one as well. Come on. Okay, switch that off as well, and it doesn't ask us to do a restart again. So it's just on the first one that he asks us to do a restart. All right, that's all good, and we can close settings down. All right, and yeah, we're in Rust. Okay, so another thing that you can do in Rust is to change the terminal. In fact, we'll get to that in a moment. Let's just continue installing Rust itself so long. So what we want to do is we want to download Rust init exe 64-bit. Okay, we're on a 64-bit machine. This is similar to what you'll be doing on Linux instead of running an exe file like we're going to be doing now. So we click on the 64-bit one, and it says, you know, follow it further. So alright, so it's going to download rust up init.exe first. So that's our 8 meg installation. We say save file on that, and we'll let that run. Wow, that was a very quick download. Okay, so we click on that, and alright, here's going to ask us a few questions. I wonder if I can just zoom in here ever so slightly so you can see a bit better. Okay, so here it wants install the C++ build tools before proceeding. This would relate to like we did on the Linux one where we installed build essential. This would be the equivalent to that. Otherwise what you're doing then is fine to continue without the build tools, but otherwise it's still okay. If you will be targeting the new ABI, let's just say yes. Okay, I'm going to say yes to that. All right. So let's install that. Then it's going to ask us proceed with the installation, a custom installer. We're just going to do a default installation. So we press 1 enter. This is the same as what it asks you in Linux. Alright, so it'll go ahead and do all those downloads for us. Takes a moment. Just zoom in a little bit more there for you. Bring that across a bit. Okay. And alright, so Rust will go ahead and do its installation there for us and so forth. And let's give that a moment and let it finish. Alright, and there we have it. We've got Rust installed. It says that there need to changes need to be done to the path. It should be done automatically. On Linux, it's usually done automatically. But let's see here. It says to get started, you declare bin directory in your path. Future applications will automatically, but you may need to restart your current shell. Okay, so yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that path. Just say copy that. Okay, and all right. Let's open a new command window. Let's just say command. All right, just open a new command window, and let's just say, for instance, rust up. All right. Yes, it's already added it to our path, so we didn't need to make any of the changes here. They say you might need to do changes. We're lucky we didn't have to. So we just press enter key to continue. Am I on the right window now? All right. Okay, I'm saying press enter to continue, but nothing's happening. Okay, why? Hello, press enter to continue. Okay, nothing wants to happen. I'll leave that window open just in case at the bottom. I'll just minimize it. All right. Okay, so we've installed Rust itself. And what we now can go and do is to go to to create our first Rust project. Now, so what we need to install the VS Code extensions and so forth, and also do a Rust update just to make sure that we're on the latest version. Okay, we are on the latest version, but let's make sure. So again, let's just open up command and All right, let's type in Rust app update. Did I not copy this? Copy, and why won't it paste? Okay, but Rust app update. All right, and we should get no surprises. We should be on the latest. So yes, everything is fine. So we're on the latest. All right, now, okay, this is I'm used to working on the command line myself, but if we go to File Explorer, for instance, all right, what we're going to go do now is to create a folder where we're going to paste, or where we're going to create our first Rust project. Okay, so you can put your stuff into documents, for instance. A lot of people do that. But I want to create my own new folder. So I'll go to C, users, my name, and then in here I want to create a new folder, and I will just be calling it projects. Alright, and go inside there, and inside here you can create your own structure now, like let's say Rust or whatever the case may be for your projects. Let's go ahead and do that actually. New folder, and we'll just call it Rust. Okay, and we go inside there as well. And okay, so this is now where we would typically create the Rust project. Okay, but with Windows, all right, I don't have anything installed that says like in Linux, where I can say open, you know, the command prompt from this line, from this folder. So what we can do is we can just copy the path. Okay, Control Z, I said Control C there. Okay, all right, and I'll just come in and paste it in here. So CD, okay, and we're in Rust. All right, so if we do a dir aria, you'll notice there's nothing in this folder, Rust. Okay, and we're going to create our first Rust project. Okay, and in order to do that, Rust uses something called cargo. Alright, so you type out cargo, new for a new normal binary exe project, okay, and we call it my app, let's say. Alright, my app, okay, and go ahead, and he's already created it for us. So if we go into, we can use File Explorer. You'll see my app was created there, and we can go into there, and we'll see there's a couple of things that is created for us, mainly the source code file, path or folder in which main lies. Cargo toml is very important. That is kind of like, you can equate it to your project file if you used to C#, for instance. This is where you'll list, for instance, your dependencies, you know, optimizations that you want to do, for instance. Do we have, well, we don't have to open it with anything actually, but all right. So if what we've got here now is, when we did that install just now, it asked us if we wanted to add this open with code to our context menu, which we said yes to. Else you'd have to do it the long way, which I'm going to show you as well. So, well, I can do that immediately since we got Rust open already. The long way would be to go File. You've got workspaces, but like we're working with a folder now. So open folder, all right, and we'll go and look for where our folder is installed. So it's users, deco, then it's what was it, projects, Rust, and go onto my app, and this is the folder now, and you just say select folder, and it'll open your project for you. All right, it'll do exactly the same as what we're going to be doing now. So if we close Visual Studio, so we navigate to this folder, all right, and where our toml is, and right mouse click and we say open with code. All right, it'll do the same thing as if we just opened the folder ourselves by hand. Okay, and if you on the command line, I think you can just say, in Linux at least, we just say code space dot. If we're in the folder where the toml is, you should be able to do the same thing in Windows. All right, so it's gone and created as Git not found. All right, we haven't actually installed Git yet. All right, so it gives us the option to download it. It's going to actually take us to that exact download page, which I downloaded from anyway. So let's just go and do that by hand. So if we come here, all right, there's Git. All right, so let's just install Git. yes. All right. Okay, let's just minimize that and that. Okay, yes, we want to install Git. Just accept the default paths. Okay, this Git GUI here is something I just referred to a few moments ago. If we had installed Git, we could have used it. We're going to use that now. In any case, I'll show it to you. It's very similar to how I do it in Linux. All right, so we've got this Git GUI here. And sorry, Git Bash. You can use Git GUI, but I'm referring to Git Bash. Okay, and that'll allow you from the command line to open up stuff directly. So, okay, we say next on that. We say don't create a start. No, we do want to create a start menu folder. And we say next. And all right, now here you've got a text editors you can choose from. If you've got Notepad++, etc. I normally use Nano. There's Nano, all right? It's just because Nano is the editor I have on Linux, but you can use anyone. You don't have to use that in specific. In fact, when I do check-ins using Git, I actually very seldom use an editor at all. I just type it directly in on the command line using the -m parameter. Command line parameter or argument. I'll show you that as well, just for fun. Okay, well, we'll see. All right, so I choose my editor there, and then Git from command line. Yes, we leave that on the default, and use the OpenSSL library. Okay. Service level will validate with Windows stores. Yes, you can choose there if you know what you're doing, but just leave it on the default. Okay. Checkout style, yes, we leave that also on the first one on the default, and use Minty, the default terminal of MC. Yes. Okay, and that's also fine. Leave the default on there, and Git credential manager. All right, this is something you could put it on none. All right, then that means you've got to keep typing in your Git passwords and so forth for your repositories. But if you put on the Git credential manager, you can add it to Windows, and Windows will remember your logons for you, and it makes it a little bit easier. So all right, next. And enable file system caching. Yes, you can enable symbolic links, but I don't. All right, and this pseudo consoles I never enable. I'll just leave it. All right, so let's get to it. It's install quickly. And what I'm going to do is on this folder where we just created the app, I'm going to close this command line. Just because Git might be doing past changes as well, so we might as well just open a new command line window when we start using Git. All right, so I showed you how you can open up Visual Studio Code directly or from the Windows Explorer context menu, and now I'm going to show you how you can open it up from the command line. But what I want to do is I want to add Visual Studio Code to my task manager down at the bottom here. All right, so if we just go to Visual, well, let's just type it in Visual. Come on, did it do anything now? Doesn't look like it, but okay. STUV, where's there's Visual Studio Code. All right, so again, let's what's this drop down give us? Well, yeah, just Visual Studio Code. Right mouse clicking on it does nothing. There we go. Pin to start. Okay, so it's the same as running it and then saying pin to start. Okay, so has he gone into, oh sorry, that's pin to this start. That's not what I want. Okay, I want it on the task manager. All right, so let's run it. Okay, so Git is also still running, coming to an end. So what I want to do is now, once it's up and running here, I'm going to say yeah, come on, right mouse click, right mouse click, come on, there we go, pin to taskbar. That's what I want to do. All right, so that'll keep it down at the bottom here for me all the time, and I like sticking it next to, in this case I already got Visual Studio Code installed, so I put it next to Visual Studio Code. I must just say to you that part of this installation that I'm going to be showing you is the installation of Python as well. One of the extensions for Visual Studio Code requires Python installed from version, I'm not sure if it's version 3.7 or 3.8 has to be installed. I already had Python on this machine, but I deliberately removed it so that I can show you that if you do need to install it, how to do it. But you might already have it and it might not complain that you have to install it. But mine is going to ask you to. So alright, let's close Visual Studio again. Alright, so alright, so Git is complete. I don't want to view the release notes. Next, and we're finished with Git. Okay, so now what we can do is, again, if we go, for instance, to our browser, now typically here, okay, we've now got the option to just say open with code, okay, which is what we did just now. That's very nice, a nice shortcut way. Another way of doing it is if you're working in the GUI, in Bash, which is what I very often am, because I like doing my Git stuff by hand. I don't like using menu items and so forth in my development environments, in other words, Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio itself. So I'm normally I'm in Git Bash, alright? So let's open that up ever so slightly. Alright, so if I do a LL on here, that's a Linux shortcut. It's similar to ls-al if I remember correctly. Alright, but it'll show us that we are in our current directory, we've got our TOML, alright. So if we just say code dot meaning current directory, so we're saying use Visual Studio Code, alright, code is a shortcut for Visual Studio Code, and just dots, in other words, open the current directory in code, alright, and it'll open it up for you. Now the nice thing is you can still continue doing stuff inside here, like for instance if you want to do a git commit, for instance, or a push, you can just type in over here. You've already got a command line interface in which to do it, and it's similar to Linux. Well, it is using Linux commands, so you Linux guys out there might actually enjoy using this what's it, Min GW64, or is it Ming W64? I never know. Okay, but so I often find myself in here, and some of you guys might as well, but it's not necessary. All right, so we've got our project open, all right, our Rust project. If we click on Rust over here, let's see if it doesn't want to zoom in there. I wonder if I say view, where's my Explorer search, SCM run appearance, zoom in, there we go. Alright, so let's just zoom in a little bit, just so that people can see a little bit better. Alright, so there we go. So yeah, if I click for instance on cargo.toml, this is, like I said, this is like our project file. Alright, you can put in your by authors, for instance, your name, your email address, and so forth. Edition, leave that on 2018. It might change one day, but this is a Rust specific thing, so just leave that. That's got nothing to do with the year that you wrote the program or anything. That's for Rust itself. Now it tells us the marketplace has some extensions for us, specifically, for instance, for a TOML file, because we're currently working on a TOML file. So you could just say, okay, well, search the marketplace and let the suggestions be done, installed for you and so forth. Alternatively, I'm going to show you how to do this ourselves. So if we click here on the extensions little icon here, all right, and the first thing we do is we're going to be installing Rust. All right, so Rust will come up. Yes, Rust 078. All right, and it gives us the option, do you want to do the install? So you say yes, install it, and we'll go ahead and install it. It's normally fairly quick. Okay, this extension is enabled globally. Now if we come down here to our reminder here, we've got to install Rust, Beta TOML, and Code LLDB. Code LLDB is so that we can do debugging. All right, just a warning, the debugging is not as good as it is in normal Visual Studio. All right, Visual Studio debugging is very good. I've thought so for many years. Visual Studio Code with Code LLDB, it works, but it's not that good, but it does get the job done to a degree, enough that I use it a lot, but all right. So okay, so it hasn't complained that we need to install anything else. Okay, which is interesting. I thought it would want a few other things installed here. All right, but once we've done Rust, okay, so then Rust itself, then we do better toml. All right, so we come up here by Rust and we type in better toml. All right, and then you'll see as an even better toml. All right, I have not tried that. You can go and have a look at that, but there's so little to a toml file that I don't know what it's going to be doing extra, but all right. So all right, we install better toml, and I'm not I'm just showing you what I've got installed on my stuff. I could have shown you even better, but I've never actually tried it, so I don't know what's going to happen if we do it. So I'm just sticking to what I've got. All right, and then the last one is code. Come on, code LLDB. All right, and there's code LLDB, and we do an install on that. All right, and this one is probably going to ask us here. It says acquiring code platform. It's installing some extras for us here, which is exactly what we want. All right, extras installed. It mentions nothing about Python yet. So I have a feeling we might have to do that ourselves, unless there's another version on Python on my machine that was running that I didn't remove. But okay, it might require you to install Python. If it does, it takes you to a website on which you can download the latest version of Python. In fact, it takes you to, I think I can just show you the website, the normal Python website. So let's say Python. All right, we'll go to the normal, here's the Python website. Okay, we go to downloads, and I know it didn't ask me now, but I'm gonna click on download Python anyway. So yes, we got the latest then, 3.8. I think you need from 3.7 and above, but that's what I had and I deleted it, but seems like something has still got it on. So all right, so Python is busy downloading, almost finished. So like I say, you might not need this step. In fact, I'm gonna install it in the background while we see if we need it or not. All right, is it coming up yet? Okay, there it is, and just say yes, we want to install it. It's got pip. Okay, it's all good. All right, so add Python to the path. Yes, why not? Install launcher for all users. Yeah, if you want to. Yeah. Okay, so and we allow that installation to continue. All right, and we come back to Visual Studio Code here. Now, if we close this extensions here, we click on top here on Explorer. Okay, this is our project. Okay, we can just kill this here. All right, this is our project. So if I open the source folder and I click on main, all right, you'll see that we've got some nice syntax highlighting there now and so forth. Okay, some Rust components not installed. All right, source Rust extension. This is probably where it's complaining. Okay, so let's see what it's going to be asking us. Okay, come on. Still thinking. Okay, yes, it's running, downloading Rust analysis. You do need that. That is, you can do as a separate download, but I normally just let Rust itself download it for me. Then I know I've got, it's got the version that it wants and everything, and it's in control. Rust source and all that. So all this is good. We let this run and complete. See, a lot of this is sort of automatically done for you. It's not that much you need to do yourself, other than knowing obviously which packages to install, which is what I've given you a list of. I've shown you how to do. Okay, so that's it. Rust components successfully installed. So we can just enter on that. All right, so it closes that that window for us. Now, okay, so this is actually something that I must explain. When you are going to be doing development, not only in Rust, I use it all the time for, you know, all my other stuff. I mean, like Angular development, etc., all that. So what you need to do is open your little terminal window here. You could have it running as a separate terminal window, which I'm going to probably show you as well. I've run into a problem before on Windows where I needed to do that when I got to the debugging, but we'll see what happens today. So what you need to do to open this little terminal here is Control and then the little what is it? I think it's called the tilde character. It's the key to the left of number 1. So you press Control and that. Okay, and by default it's opened up PowerShell for us. Okay, there's only one instance of a terminal running. You can have multiples running, like you'll notice with the debugger later. It normally opens up a new terminal. All right, so what you can do now is, remember, Visual Studio Code is not a IDE. It's not an integrated development environment. This is a text editing tool on steroids that allows all sorts of plugins and stuff. So, for instance, if you want to do a build, all right, or it doesn't have a button you can press for build, because I mean every language works differently and so forth. Visual Studio Code can support multiple languages, so we normally do everything from the command line, CLI stuff. All right, so if you want to, for instance, build your current project in Rust, okay, the default one which you just created for us, okay, then we just say you can just say cargo build, cargo build. All right, and it'll go ahead and build it for us. All right, and oh, it's found an error. Link returned an unexpected error. Oh, okay, there's something not installed. This, I think, is that C++ stuff that it was complaining about. Let me just quickly figure this out and then I'll get back to you. Okay, well, actually, I can see immediately in the Visual Studio installer, ensure the C++ build tools workload is selected. All right, so, okay, that's got to do with Visual Studio. There must be another way of doing it, okay? But, I mean, since most of us are going to be working in Windows, we're going to be doing Visual Studio stuff. So let's just open up the Visual Studio installer and make sure that we've selected the C++ build tools, all right? This is, like I said, this is what relates to, in my Linux video, I said you must install Build Essential. This is the same issue. All right, so let's just see, how can I get to my Visual Studio installer. There we go. All right, so yes, taking a moment. Okay, so okay, Python was installed successfully. Interesting, it never asked for it. It normally asks me in Windows, it asks me for it always, but this time it didn't, but we installed it anyway. All right, so it's trying to start up there as the Visual Studio installer here. Okay, we need to do an update. All right, so again, this is, like I say, from some time ago. Let's see, what do we have available here? Yeah, okay, so this is the free one, so we have to do an update here. Let's see, repair, uninstall, modify. Yeah, let's just do an update of this. This is going to take a while, so I'll stop the video and let this update continue. And then once that's done, we can continue. You'll notice that I've got Visual Studio Community Edition, the free one, all right? you don't need any other version to get your development environment set up. In fact, I haven't coded in anything other than Visual Studio Community for actually a few years already, and I've been coding in C# literally since what, 2002, I think. Yeah, I can't remember, 2000, yeah, around there somewhere, 2003, I think. But okay, we'll let this run, and we'll get back to it soon. All right, and there we have it. Visual Studio has updated itself, and what we can now go and do is we come to, well, we click on Modify up top here, and then we just select the C++ stuff. All right, here we have already desktop development with C++. Okay, I normally install most of these things anyway, so I wasn't aware that I needed to install this separately. But okay, so we've installed C++, and let's just see if there's anything else I want at the moment. No, well, let's just leave it at that. All right, so we add C++ to it, and we say install while downloading, and there we go. So it's 1.5 gig. Sorry, click modify. So it's 1.5 gigs. So that's going to take a while again. So let's that run, and we'll get back to you later. All right, and there we go. It's installed the C++ stuff, but as usual, we need to do a reboot. Okay, so let me restart the computer. All right, and there we have it. Windows has restarted, and let's open up Visual Studio Code, and let's see what happens if we try and do a cargo build now. I mean, we installed the C++ stuff, so let's see what's next on the list. It's not ready for me yet. Taking a moment. All right, let's try now. Let's do a build. All right, that's done it. Okay, so let's now do a run. Okay, and we should see hello world printed on the screen. And there we have it, hello world. All right, so the compilation and so forth is working. Okay, so the next step that we need to make sure about is that the debugger works. I just want to make sure everything is definitely installed. Yes, code.ldb is there. All right, so what we can do is we click over here on the left here by print line, next to on the left of 2, and there's a little red button that appears. We click on that. All right, so we've selected that line. And now, as some of you C# guys would be used to, for instance, with your debugging, you can press F5 and it'll start the debugging. Now, in this case, there's an extra step that must be done for the first time that we run, all right? And that is this launch configuration bit that is complaining about. Okay, so here he asks us, would you like to generate a launch configuration? And the answer is yes. All right. Okay, so he's gone and created this file on top here, launch.json. All right. And sometimes that's good enough now. Now you can just start doing your debugging. But sometimes you have to make a bit of a change to the terminal that it's using, as well as this path here. You might have to, you'll notice when you build, it creates target and then debug, or if you do the release build, it'll be target release. And at the end here, you just have to append target release or target debug. But all right, let's see if we just take that as is, and let's do a F5 again. Okay, it's busy loading up the debugger. Now, one thing you must remember with Visual Studio Visual Studio Code is not Visual Studio. All right, so you have to rebuild stuff by hand. There's no button you can press before you do debugging. So let's say hello world and hello world 2, and we put a breakpoint, let's say for instance on the second one. Now if I just run it now, all right, F5, okay, and it'll step through it, and it says hello world, all right, and see what happens. Okay, he did pick it up. This is something that's changed from previous times that I've used it. Might do a rebuild automatically for you. But what I normally do, just to make sure, is I always, before I do a debug, I do a build. Okay, so I do a cargo build. All right, that'll do a debug build for me. And then I can step through it and so forth. The stepping is the same as you'd be used to in Visual Studio, for instance, where F10 steps forward, F11 enters a function, for instance. It's not the best debugger in the world, but it suffices. It works. All right. So if you want to, for instance, release this thing now, all right, to your client, you say cargo build -- release. All right. Now, if we go back to the Explorer here on the left, you'll notice we've got target debug. All right. We're going to have another folder appear there. Yeah, and that's going to be release. There, it's just added release. All right. So if we expand release, you'll notice there's my app.exe. All right. So if we have to take, for instance, this path, let's just copy relative path. That's what I wanted. Okay. And if we open a new command, all right, and we say cd, and we didn't copy that. Oh, the relative path it copied. That's not what I wanted. Okay, but let's just steal this one here, for instance. Okay, we copied that over. All right, so stick that in there, and then after that we want to go to targets and then release. All right, so if we want to run the release version of our program, all right, so if we look in there, you'll see there's the my app.exe. So if we say my-app-exe and we run it, it'll say hello world to us. All right. And that's basically it. So just to make sure again on the debugging, if I put a breakpoint on the first print hello world, all right, and again I press F5, all right, I must check what that complaint's about. That might be the terminal issue, but I see this red popping up every time. All right, we're on the first one, so, and we're on the terminal over here. All right, so if I say F10, all right, it says hello world. All right, if I say F10 again, because it's the next line, so say hello world 2, and then we at the end we can just say F5 and end. All right, so that's basically that done. Something else that you can maybe do, you can do it in your file preferences. I think then you do it globally. Well, let me show you. If you go to preferences, settings, and you use your terminal, all right, terminal. All right, it's using the integrated terminal. All right, you've also got the external one. I think if you switch it here, you switch it for all your projects. Okay, but what you can do is if you come to launch JSON, all right, and you type in anywhere up top here, you say terminal. All right, and it gives you some options, and you can say, let's say external, for instance. All right, what it'll do now is it won't run your things in this terminal anymore. It'll open up a new terminal for you every time. So I pressed the bad key there, sorry about that. All right, so if I just say, let's build this thing again. All right, so sorry, debug it again. So we're F5. There's opened up a new terminal for us. You'll see here it is at the bottom. Here's our new terminal. Oops. And as we step through our code, come on, you'll notice there is the results appearing inside this new terminal window. See, there it is, hello world and hello world 2. All right, and you can F5 on that. So you can specify an external terminal. On one of my machines once I was forced to do that. It wouldn't work any other way. And that's how I figured out how to do this. But it looks like on this install that's not necessary. So I'm going to take that out for now again, terminal external. All right. And you can basically, this is the whole thing about Rust. You can take this code, if I go to my main source, you can take this code as is, all right, onto a Linux box and build it using Visual Studio and Rust, and it'll do the exact same thing. That's what's nice about Rust. It's multi-platform. Okay, that's why I'm a big fan of it, and also because of its memory safety and its high speed, and the fact that it doesn't need a framework behind it like the .NET Studio, for instance, does. Visual Studio does. I can't think of anything that I haven't shown you. I got a funny feeling there's something, but yeah, all right. So that's basically it. So oh, what I can do is also just quickly show you, like for instance, Git. All right. You can it does have a run shortcut here. Interesting. But all right, what I normally do is, like, let's say for instance now if I'm in the main app folder, you know, where my toml is, and I do a dir, all right, so I'm in my toml folder. You'll notice that there's a git file here, okay? So in other words, it's aware of Git, okay? So if you want to add, for instance, all your files to Git, you know, you can, like in Visual Studio, you can right mouse click on files and select all, or whatever the case may be. Or you can just in Git just say, well, firstly we can do a status, and it'll tell us, like, is there anything that's not being included in Git at the moment? And it says yes, there's these couple of files that are not included in Git. All right, and then you can add them. All right, you can say git add dot, okay, it'll add everything. All right, and then normally you would want a comment with your Git stuff. In Visual Studio, you know, you right mouse click, you go to your repository window, you know, where your Explorer stuff is on the right hand side of Visual Studio, and you can type in a comment. Alternatively, you can just do it by hand. Git commit -m, all right, and then inside your double quotes, you can type whatever you want. Okay. Another way of doing it is just to say git commit. All right. And then remember, just now I said that. Okay. It wants. Okay. That's another thing it might ask you. All right. You need to do this with Git the first time that you've run it. All right. You've got to fill in these fields here. So let's just put that in there. So let's say, for instance, your user email is me@me.com. all right, and then also asks you for your name, git config name, okay, paste that, all right, and we say it's Dean. Okay, so now if I do my commit, instead of saying -m, all right, and typing in what I want to do, although that's normally the way I do it, but you can just say git commit, all right, and it'll open up Nano. Remember when we did the installation of Git, we said that it should use Nano, and that's Nano. Okay, it's clearly this particular editor, or sorry, this Visual Studio doesn't like running that, but I do that on my other projects. I use Nano, but typically I don't use. I just type in apostrophes, inverted commas, I mean, put in my comment. But okay, but that's basically it. There you are. There's your Visual Studio Code environment for Rust with debugging. One thing I can definitely recommend to you when starting with Rust development is to read what is referred to as the book. Basically covers all the basics of Rust. So if we go to rust-lang-org, okay, just rust-lang-org, all right, and then we just follow down here. I think we go to community, if I remember correctly, or sorry, we just click on learn. All right, click on learn. Yeah, let's just make sure I clicked on learn. All right, and then down here it has read the book. All right, you click on that, and you'll actually find a lot of help you do on the internet for Rust. You often end up in the book. There are old versions floating around, but they normally tell you that this is an old version. Click here for the new version, for instance. But this is the Rust book. Teaches you quite a lot of how to use Rust. So that's something I definitely recommend you have a look at. But other than that, I think there's not much more to show you. I wish you well on your ventures, and go code and have fun, and we'll chat to you next time again. See you. Goodbye.